like yesterday, I want each and everyone to actively participate in the discussions.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is a part of our discussion on student-friendly teaching methods. So we will go on to the chapter, determination of income and employment. And you know that it's a very, very important chapter because this chapter has the highest mark weightage in class 12 board examination. How many marks weightage is given to this chapter?
12.
12 marks. 12 out of 80. So the mark weightage is very, very high. And one more speciality of this chapter is children have to understand it thoroughly. Otherwise, it will become very difficult, very tough for them. But once they understand this chapter, it becomes very easy, completely theoretical. So let us go on to the chapter, determination of income and the employment. Now tell me, how will you start this chapter? How will we or how should we introduce this chapter to the children?
Namaste, sir.
Please tell. Anybody? How will you start this chapter? How will you introduce this chapter? Think about our experiential learning.
Namaste, sir.
Namaste, please tell me.
So we can start it with introducing a family setup.
Okay,
So,
fine. Can you just explain, sir?
So what you think, maybe father and mother may be employed, and so what is their income and what is the requirement of the family? So accordingly, we have to set aside, segregate all the expenses and plan for that. And so income is being managed in that way. So
okay, sir. Any other idea, teachers?
Employment, a person who first gets employment have a source of income. So we can start from there, sir.
Okay, ma'am. Okay. But what I feel is the children need to know the historical background behind the introduction of this theory. What is the historical background? Why did J.M. Keynes came forward with the theory of determination of income and employment?
Great Depression, sir.
Due to Great Depression.
So can't we start it with a seminar on Great Depression?
Okay. Yes.
See, why this theory was introduced? Why did J.M. Keynes put forward the income and employment theory? Actually, this theory was introduced in his book, General Theory of Employment, Interest and Money, and it was published in 1936. So the historical background, we have to make the children understand. Already children know little bit about the Great Depression in class 10 social science. They have learned about the Great Agrarian Depression and all those things, but not in detail. So if we can start with a seminar on that, we can ask some children to present papers on Great Depression. The children will understand why J.M. Keynes came forward with the theory of income and employment. See, if you look into the historical background, you know, our classical and neoclassical economists, they believed that supply will control the market. Supply will control the market. You all might have heard about Say's law of market.
Supply creates its own demand.
Supply creates its own demand. So what do you say? Classical economists believed was that if you produce a commodity, you need not worry about the demand at all. Why did they say so?
Because if there is
supply creates its own demand. How does supply create demand?
Sir, if there is supply, it means there is production. If there is production, it means there is income of the people.
Yeah, very good.
If there is income of the people, it means the people will obviously have an effective demand.
Yes, so excellent.
This is what
that is what, you know, actually if you are producing a commodity worth 1,000 rupee, you are producing a product worth 1,000 rupee. that 1,000 rupees will be divided into rent, wage, interest and profits. So the 1,000 rupees is going into the hands of the people. And what will the people do? People will make use of this money to buy the goods.
So this can be related with circular
the
flow.
Products are manufactured. 1,000 rupees purchasing power is generated in the market, generated in the economy. So this is what Say's law says. Supply creates its own demand. So according to classical economics, the producer need not worry about the demand at all. You produce any quantity. Whatever quantity you produce will be purchased, will be demanded by the people. This is what classical economists believe. So according to them, supply is the most important factor which will control the economy. And they were all dealing with the microeconomics, we know. Because they believed that if all the firms try to maximize their profits, and if all the consumers try to maximize their satisfaction, the economy will develop. But Great Depression of 1930s proved that the classical economists were wrong. How did the Great Depression start? Anybody? Can you explain that?
Due to fall in investment. If all the produced goods, it is not sold. So all the goods, it was dumped. So further, the producer, they didn't produce anything. So it leads to there is no employment opportunity, there is no income, there is no saving.
Ma'am, actually,
so
the depression started due to overproduction. It's not because of lesser production.
Mass production.
Sir, can I?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. So, sir, it can be dated back to the World Wars. So during that time, there was World War. So production was diverted from the production of consumption good to warfare goods. So it led to overproduction of the war, this equipments which were supported, and there was a scarcity in the food production. So there was a massive lag between.
No, I disagree with you, ma'am. Actually, it's due to overproduction, not due to lesser production.
There was
the depression started due to overproduction.
Overproduction in the war equipment, sir?
No, even overproduction of food materials. You know, the heaps of wheat were burnt.
Okay, sir.
By the producers during the Great Depression.
Okay, sir.
Actually, the Great Depression started due to the drawbacks of capitalist system, which the Western countries followed. We know that in a capitalist economy, there is no government interference.
Yes.
Government's role is like the role of a referee in a football match. Referee does not play. Referee will only ensure that the game is played as per some rules and regulations. So no governmental interference. Each producer wanted to get maximum profits. And they believed that if they produced more, they would get more profits. So what did the producers do? On the one side, they increased the production like anything. And on the other side, they reduced the wages of workers. Their aim was to get maximum profits.
But anyhow, if there is a overproduction also, the consumer have to
one
buy
side
it,
they
right?
produced in large quantities. Another side, they reduced the wages of the workers. So what happened? The workers' wages were reduced. Naturally, the purchasing power of the people came down.
Yeah,
decreased.
that is so. The reason is
Demand
depression.
decreased. When demand decreased, what happened? Goods remained unsold. All the godowns were filled with the goods. And the producers were not ready to reduce the price also. That is another thing. Normally, when supply is very high and demand is very low, price should come down. They were not ready to reduce the price. I told you, even heaps of wheat were burned in order to reduce fall in price. So what happened? Finally, they decided they were compelled to reduce production because godowns were filled. No sale. Sale is very less. production was reduced. So when production reduced, what happened? Many workers were thrown out of job, unemployment. And many workers were thrown out of job, again income fell down, purchasing power fell down, again demand fell down, again the workers were sent out because production was reduced. And finally the factories began to be closed one by one. When factories were closed, the banks which gave loans to the factories had it to be closed down because they couldn't recover the loan. Stock market crashed. You know, if a company is closed, the share value will become zero. So factories were closed down. Unemployment became severe. Poverty became severe. One thing you have to understand, overproduction led to poverty. It's a paradoxical situation. Actually, less production should lead to poverty, but here overproduction led to poverty. So this is how the Great Depression started. So Great Depression started because of drawbacks of the capitalist system. No governmental interference. Every producer wanted to get maximum profits. So every producer on one side increased the production and on the other side reduced the wages of the workers. When workers' wages were reduced, the purchasing power fell down, demand fell down. So what happened? The products could not be sold out. All the godowns, warehouses were overloaded. Production had it to be reduced. When production was reduced, again people were thrown out of job. Again unemployment. Again the income reduced, the purchasing power reduced, demand reduced. One by one factories were closed down, stock market crashed, banks were closed down, unemployment became severe, poverty became severe, people started to die along the European countries. It actually started in United States of America, later it spread to the other European countries. So can't we start with a seminar on Great Depression?
Yes, sir.
Am I audible to you clearly?
Yes, sir.
Of course, you are audible.
Yeah. Okay. So we can make use here. Start a seminar, discuss with children. They will come out with ideas. They themselves will present also. So after that, we can come to the savior. Who is the savior here? Who saved America and the Western countries from Great Depression?
Yes.
Who saved the United States of America and the other European countries from Great Depression?
Keynes theory of
Yeah, it's our John Maynard Keynes. J.M. Keynes. Okay, so in order to save USA and other Western European countries from the clutches of this Great Depression, J.M. Keynes introduced the theory of determination of income and employment. So Keynes said that everything which is fine at the micro level may not be fine at the macro level. See, classical economists believed that if every firm tries to get maximum profit, every consumer tries to get maximum satisfaction, the economy will grow. This is what they believed. But Keynes said that, no, it may be fine at the micro level, but when we come to the macro level, things are different. And that was proved by the Great Depression of 1930s. Can you give me one example to prove that something which is fine at the micro level will not be fine at the macro level? Any one example? Apart from this, what we discussed. Some additional information we have to share with our students. Something which is welcome at the micro level, but not welcome at the macro level. Any one example can you give? Okay. You think about saving. Is saving goods at the micro level?
yes, sir. Paradox of thrift.
Saving is always good at the micro level, we know. We always encourage individuals to save. Is it good at the macro level?
Not much.
No,
If everyone
no.
starts saving, that is the
Yes.
purchasing power will be reduced and no demand for the products and services.
Yeah, that's the problem. At the macro level, if you take, if people save more, what will happen? Demand will fall. Consumption will fall, demand will fall. And if demand falls, production will fall, employment will fall, the economy will go to the recession stage. So such examples can be shared with the people and start with a seminar on the Great Depression of 1930s. Then you can introduce our hero. Like a movie, the hero has to be introduced. The hero is actually John Maynard Keynes, a British economist. And he came forward with the theory of income and employment. And this theory is included in his book titled General Theory of Employment, Interest and Money. The theory was published in 1936. So after that, you can enter into the chapter. First, we discuss, and moreover, who is called the father of macroeconomics? Who is popularly known as the father of macroeconomics? J.M. Keynes. Because till J.M. Keynes, the economists were thinking only about individual firms, individual consumers, individual markets. They were not thinking about the macro level. So it was Keynes who introduced the macroeconomic theories. It's also called a Keynesian theory, or it's also called a macroeconomics. And Keynes wanted government interference. Keynes was not supporting pure capitalism or laissez-faire theory. Keynes actually wanted governmental interference in the economy. So let us start with this aggregate demand. How will you introduce the term aggregate demand? How will you go to the term aggregate demand? See, always we have to start from the known to the unknown. Am I right? Two other concepts of demand are known to the children. What are those two concepts of demand known to the children? Coming to class 12. What are the two concepts of demand which our children learned in class 11?
Law of demand, elasticity of demand.
Ma'am, individual demand and market demand, that's all.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
No, individual demand they have learned. They have also learned market demand. Both are microeconomic concepts. Individual demand and market demand are microeconomic concepts. You can have a recall of these two. You can raise the question to them, what is individual demand? They will tell because they learned in class 11. Okay. You can also ask them, what is market demand? They will come forward with the market demand. Then we can conclude that these two are at the micro level. Then the same thing when we apply to the market, macro level, please come. Very good. Thank you. You didn't get consolidated, no? I have got it. Okay, just find out. Sorry, teachers, the result details are coming. Marketing got one send up. I was handling marketing. Okay. Anyway, come back to the point. So start with individual demand, then go to market demand. These two concepts are known to your children. Then you can introduce aggregate demand. What is aggregate demand actually? Money value of all goods and services that all the sectors of the economy are planning to buy at a given level of income in a given period of time. This is actually aggregate demand. So what are the four sectors in an economy? Bichu sir, because that
Firm, household, government, foreign sector.
Yeah, these are the 4 sectors actually. You know, we have the households, we have the firms, we have the government sector, and we have the foreign sector or external sector. So each of these sector will be, some sound is heard. Biju sir, can you be muted, sir? And when you want to speak, you please unmute. Okay. Thank you, sir. So these are the 4 sectors. You know, each of these sectors will demand. Say, for example, if you take households will demand goods and services, consumption demand by the households. Firms will have investment demand. They want to buy machines, tools, equipments, etc. Government will demand both the consumer goods as well as capital goods. Import and export, that will form our external sector demand. So the money value of all the goods and services which all these 4 sectors are planning to buy. So we call it ex-ante concept. Am I right? What is ex-ante and ex-post? Am I alone here? Nobody is responding. Hello? Are you all there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, please respond. What do you mean by ex-ante?
Ex-ante means before, sir, and ex-post means after.
Yeah.
Planned and that is realized.
Yes. Planned. So aggregate demand is actually planned demand. Say it's an ex-ante concept. So all these 4 sectors, see, households are planning to buy goods and services worth 100 crore, for example. The firms are planning to buy capital goods worth 50 crore. The government is planning to buy consumer goods and capital goods worth 50 crore. Then the difference between export and import is another 50 crore. So actual aggregate demand will be 200 crore. So you can go with some kind of mathematical calculation also to make them understand what is aggregate demand. So aggregate demand is always equal to aggregate expenditure. You know, I am planning to buy goods and services worth 100 rupee. So my planned expenditure also will be the same, 100 rupee. So this concept of aggregate demand has to be introduced. But before going to the concept of aggregate demand, we can start with individual demand and the market demand. Is that clear? Any doubt from this area?
Yes.
No, sir. Fine, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So
Clear, sir.
after introducing aggregate demand, we can go with some kind of brainstorming. We can ask some questions to the children, and we shall see whether the children will be able to come out with the answers to our questions. So what are the questions that we can ask to our children? Connected with aggregate demand. We know we are learning a 2-sector model.
Yes,
In
sir.
class 12 level, we are learning 2-sector model. So aggregate demand is equal to C plus I, we say. Consumption demand by the households, investment demand by the firms. Because we study 2-sector model and we assume that there are only 2 sectors in an economy. What are those 2 sectors?
Household and firm.
Yeah, households and the firms. That is the reason why we say that aggregate demand AD is equal to C plus I, consumption expenditure by the households and the investment expenditure by the firms. So C plus I, we write it. Now, what other brainstorming questions can be asked to the children from this particular concept so that they will think and come out with answers? Anybody?
In first chapter, circular flow of income, sir. What are the different sectors of the economy we have read?
Yeah, what are the different sectors of the economy we can ask? I'm asking about aggregate demand. Connected to aggregate demand, what brainstorming questions can be given to the children. So instead of just telling them, these are the features of aggregate demand, you can try to get the features from them. Correct, no? So that will actually help them to think and come out.
Give some examples.
Supply, aggregate supply.
Aggregate supply, we will go on to later, ma'am. Regarding aggregate demand, what questions can be asked? First thing we can tell, aggregate demand is equal to consumption plus investment, C plus I, because we are learning two-sector model. Okay. We can ask a question, will there be aggregate demand if national income is zero? Will there be aggregate demand if income is zero? Raise this question to the children. What is the answer to the question? Your income is zero. Will there be aggregate demand?
No demand, sir.
No demand will be
No
there.
demand, sir.
Is it so?
No demand.
No, autonomous
No,
consumption.
because consumption,
Autonomous
consumption,
consumption.
yes.
Even at
consumption is
zero level of income, there will be aggregate demand.
level of
Yes,
consumption.
Because people cannot live without consuming basic goods and services. They will take their savings, the past savings. From that, they will take money. And with that, they will consume. So there is always autonomous consumption. There is always autonomous consumption. And because of that, even at zero level of income, there will be aggregate demands. Okay.
Yes.
So raise these questions to them and have a discussion with them. And what will be the shape of the aggregate demand curve? How the aggregate demand curve would be? What would be the shape of the aggregate demand curve? Tell me.
Upward rising, sir.
Yeah, it would be an upward rising one. Why does it rise upward?
Upward.
Why does it rise
With
upward?
increase in income.
Income increases, aggregate demand also increases.
Yeah, as income increases, aggregate demand will also increase. And where does it start from? Will it start from the origin?
Positive quadrant.
Yeah, it will start
Positive
from,
quadrant because we have an autonomous consumption.
Yes, it will start from a point along the y-axis and it will slope upward from left to right, because we know that as income increases, aggregate demand will also increase because consumption will increase. So such questions you can ask to the children. You can ask them why it doesn't start from the origin. Why it doesn't start from the origin? Because even at a zero level of income, there will be consumption and there will be aggregate demands. Okay. Then anything else? Okay. Investment curve. What is the shape of the investment curve?
Horizontal, parallel to x-axis.
Horizontal, parallel to x-axis. Can you tell me why?
Because the investment is constant.
Yeah, we assume it's an assumption. It may not be real. It's an assumption, or we assume that investment is autonomous. It is not influenced by the income level. So investment curve will be a horizontal line parallel to x-axis, because whatever may be the level of income, 0 or 100 or 1000 or 1 lakh or something like that, the investment will be the same. So you can draw that curve and introduce that curve to the children. Or you can even make the children come forward and draw the curve. See, always in our teaching methodology, don't teach anything just like that. Try to get from the students. You ask these questions to them, and ultimately you can ask them to come forward, any one of the child to come forward and draw the diagram on the line. On the board. Even the schedule can be prepared, which shows that as income increases, aggregate demand will also increase. Okay. and consumption curve. What will be the gap between consumption curve and investment curve? 1 second, I'll just show you the diagram. 1 second, let us take the diagram. Just a minute. This is my blog actually. I have a blog. Are you able to see?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. You can also visit the blog whenever you get some time. One minute. See, this is the schedule. The schedule shows that even at zero level of income, consumption expenditure is there. That is what we call autonomous consumption. Investment is also autonomous. Whatever may be the level of income, investment is same. So C and I, if you add up, you will be getting aggregate demand. C0 is income, consumption is 40, investment is 20, aggregate demand is 60. Next, income is 100, consumption is 100, investment is 20, so 120 is aggregate demand. So this schedule can be introduced to the children. Then comes the diagram. Here you can see, this is our investment curve. Investment curve, we know, is horizontally parallel to the x-axis, and it is starting from a point along the y-axis, positive side of y-axis. Because even at zero level of income, the same investment. Even at 100 or 1000 or 1 lakh or whatever it may be, the investment is same, and purely it's an assumption. We assume that investment is autonomous, it is not influenced by the changes in income. Consumption curve, you can see, it starts from a point along the y-axis and it rises upward. It indicates that as the income increases, the consumption also increases. Next is actually our aggregate demand curve, that is C plus I. What is this gap?
Investment.
It is investment. Ask such questions to the students. They'll find it interesting. They will come forward also with the answers actually. And these are the important features we have already discussed. And please don't tell these important features to them directly. Try to get it from them. Let them come out. You just introduce the concept of aggregate demand, speak about aggregate demand. After discussing individual demand and market demand, then put questions to them. Let them come with the answer, and finally you can conclude. You can give the conclusion. Okay, these are the main features of aggregate demand. Now we are coming to any doubt regarding aggregate demand, teachers? Okay. Now again, aggregate supply, how will you introduce?
Like that, individual supply, market supply.
Excellent. You can start with individual supply. You can ask them questions. What is individual supply? They will come out with answers. Then you can come to market supply. So both are actually microeconomic concepts. Then the same concept you are coming to the macro level. So that is actually the aggregate supply. What is aggregate supply? Take all the producers in an economy. You can give the example of a simple economy with some 5 producers. That also can be done. You introduce a simple economy and only 5 producers are there. And firm A is planning to produce, say, for 10 crore. Firm B is planning to produce, say, for 20 crore. Firm C is planning to produce for 5 crore. Firm D is planning to produce, say, for 25 crore. Firm D is planning to produce for 15 crore. Add up all these. Then you can tell this is actually aggregate supply. So children will be able to comprehend it easily. They have to understand, they should get a clear-cut idea. Then you can come to the generalization. You can say that hundreds or thousands of producers are there in the economy. Each one will have a plan about how much goods and services they have to produce. And they have to put it into the market. The money value of all those goods and services we call aggregate demand. Go in that way. Don't simply give the direction, the definition directly. If you just give the definition, it is the money value of all goods and services that all the producers in an economy are planning to supply in a given period of time. You introduce this definition, you explain that, it won't be that interesting. Explain with an example. You can introduce a simple economy with a less number of producers. Then you can calculate aggregate supply. Just a minute. Just 1 second. So please introduce the concept of aggregate supply. And the aggregate supply is always equal to national income. Tell the children, ask them the question, why? Why do you say that aggregate supply is always equal to national income? Can you tell me why is aggregate supply always equal to national income?
Because the aggregate supply, they are getting income.
Yes, ma'am.
All the value of goods and services produced, it is the income for household as well as firm.
Yes, excellent, ma'am. Actually, what we need to tell them is, suppose we produce or we plan to produce goods worth, say, 100 crore. So by selling these goods, the producers get 100 crore. What will happen to this 100 crore? It will get divided into 4 factor incomes: rent, wage, interest, and profits. So full 100 crore will be divided into rent, wage, interest, and the profits. So that full 100 crore will become the income of the people. That is why we say that aggregate supply is always equal to national income of the country. See, the explanation is given here. The value of total output produced in the economy will be divided into the rewards for 4 factors of production: rent, wage, interest, and the profit. So aggregate supply is always equal to the national income of the country. So AS is always equal to national income. Okay. So AS is equal to national income, and income is equal to consumption and saving, that we know. A part of the income people will consume, and another part of the income people will save. So income is always equal to consumption plus saving. We write it as C plus S. And aggregate supply is always equal to income. So we can conclude that aggregate supply is equal to C plus S. That is why instead of writing aggregate supply, we can denote AS curve. Sorry, or C plus S curve. What is C plus I curve?
Aggregate demand.
Aggregate demand. And what is C plus S curve? Aggregate supply. Yeah, why do we call it C plus S? Because aggregate supply is equal to national income. Income is equal to consumption expenditure plus saving. So income is equal to C plus S. Aggregate supply is equal to income. So aggregate supply is equal to C plus S. We can take our children to this particular point. Okay. Then we have the schedule here. Schedule can be explained. Better you can ask children to come out with the schedule. Give them time. Ask them to prepare a schedule. We have to develop the, we should not make the children by heart all these schedules and produce in the exam. We have to develop the skill among them to prepare their own schedules. It should not be a schedule given in the notes and memorized by the children. We should not go with that. For proper understanding, or if they have proper understanding, they will be able to prepare schedules of their own. Here we can see income is 0. Even at a 0 level of income, there is consumption. You call it autonomous consumption. It is 40. So there will be dissaving, minus 40. So 40 plus minus 40, C plus S will be 0. At all levels, we can see that income and the aggregate supply are equal. So then comes to the diagram. Here also a question can be asked. What question can be asked from this diagram?
Why the aggregate supply curve it starts from its origin?
Why does it start from the origin? We can ask that question. Why does it start from the origin?
Because no income, no saving.
Yeah, aggregate supply is 0. National income also will be 0. No production, no income generation. And why is it a 45-degree line? Why is it a 45-degree line starting from the origin?
The income is used for both consumption and saving.
Yeah, when will the curve be a 45-degree line? You know the diagrams, you know. When will a curve be a 45-degree line?
The distance covered from the axis will be equal to the distance covered by the y-axis.
Actually,
So
when we are actually representing two variables in a diagram. Am I right?
yes.
If both the variables, the variable marked along the x-axis and the variable marked along the y-axis are equal at all levels, the
Yes.
curve will be a 45-degree line. You can test it. Any other two variables you can take. At all levels, both should be equal. And if you plot it, you will be getting 45-degree line. So that is the reason. At all levels, aggregate supply and income are equal. Aggregate supply is marked along the y-axis and income is marked along the x-axis. When aggregate supply is 0, income is also 0. And at all levels, aggregate supply and income are equal. That is the reason why it's a 45-degree line starting from the origin. So this you should make your students to say. They have better knowledge about the diagrams than us because they are learning diagrams in mathematics also. Am I right? Children will have much more better knowledge in diagrams because they have learned all these diagrams and all in mathematics. So they will be in a better position to come out with this example. Sir, both the variables are equal. So x-axis and y-axis, we are marking two variables and we are plotting. At all levels, both the variables are equal. That is the reason why the AS curve or income curve, it is also income curve. It will be a 45-degree line. It's also income curve because aggregate supply is equal to income. One and the same curve. So have a discussion on this curve itself.
Sir,
Ah.
this aggregate supply curve will be 45-degree only under short-term production, right?
Sir, we are discussing only short-term things, sir, actually. Keynes said that in the long run, all are dead. So we need not discuss long run at all. This is the famous saying of John Maynard Keynes. In the long run, we are all dead. So we need not bother about the long run. Let us think about the short run. This is what Keynes said. So Keynesian theory is completely dealing with the short run only. So Keynes always talk about short run only, sir. Keynes' famous words are there. In the long run, we are all dead. So we need not bother about the long run. Okay. So this is actually aggregate supply. Any other doubt regarding this aggregate supply?
No, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Shall we proceed?
Clear, sir.
Now this propensity to consume or consumption function or Keynesian psychological law of consumption. What is this consumption function actually? Consumption is a function of income, correct no? As your income increases, your consumption also increases. If your income is falling, your consumption will be falling. Direct relationship between consumption and income. This you can introduce by asking them about the changes in people's income level. Suppose a man is unemployed. His consumption will be very low. Suddenly he gets a job. He earns some income. So his consumption will increase. He gets a promotion. Again, his consumption will increase. If he gets a lottery or something like that and earns huge income, then his consumption will further increase. So with some examples, you make them understand that consumption is directly related with the income. As income increases, consumption also increases. But will consumption increase at the same proportion as income increases? Will consumption increase at the same proportion as income increases?
No,
No, why?
because a part we will save. Also.
Yeah, as income increases, people will have the tendency to save. Say, for example, a person's income per month is 10,000. Yeah, a person's income per month is 10,000. His saving may be zero because at 10,000 will not be sufficient enough for him to meet his expenditure. So he will not have anything to save at all. But suppose his income increases to 20,000, he may be able to save some 5,000 rupees. So 20,000 income, 10,000 increase in income, but 5,000 only will be increase in consumption. But suppose from 20,000 to 30,000 it increases, much more bigger portion will be saved. So as income increases, consumption increases, but at a lower proportion. Okay, with examples, this can be made it clear to the children. Just okay. So consumption increases at a lower proportion when compared to increase in income. And even at zero level of income, there is consumption, which we already know. So consumption is a function of income. That functional relationship is what we call consumption function, or it is called the Keynesian psychological law of consumption. Okay. From there, we have to take children to the term average propensity to consume. Yeah, here the diagrams and the schedules can be introduced. Zero level of income also, there is consumption. It is what we call autonomous consumption. It is nothing but the consumption of basic goods and services which are needed for a person to stay alive. And mostly that amount is taken from the past savings, whatever they saved in the past, or dissaving we can call. And as income increases, the consumption also increases. What do you call this point? Can you tell me? The point at which consumption and income are equal? Break-even point. Very good. And you can see that here, income increases, but consumption is increasing at a lower proportion. Because there will be saving. For example, 100 to 200, but 100 to 60 here. 200 to 300, but 160 to 220. So it increases at a lower proportion. It's because the saving element is there. This is the curve actually. We have the income curve, which we already know is a 45-degree line starting from the origin. And we have the consumption curve. It is starting from a point along the y-axis, positive side of y-axis. Because zero level of income, there is autonomous consumption. It is upward sloping because as income increases, consumption also increases. Point E is called, what is point E?
Equilibrium point, because aggregate demand is equal to aggregate supply.
It's not equilibrium point, ma'am. This is only consumption and income equality, ma'am. We call it break-even points.
Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. We are not talking about aggregate demand, ma'am. We are just talking only about consumption. Okay.
Sorry, sir. Sorry.
No problem. No problem. So E is actually break-even point. You know, before E, what is the condition actually before E?
Consumption is more than
Consumption
income.
is more than income. So there will be negative saving. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
So this area actually shows negative saving. But after E, income is greater than consumption. So this is actually what we call saving. Okay. So till point D, there is dissaving or negative saving. After point D, we find the saving actually. So the diagram can be discussed. Average propensity to consume and marginal propensity to consume. What is actually average propensity to consume?
Of consumption to income.
Yeah, it is the ratio between consumption expenditure to corresponding level of income. Or in simple words, if you say APC is nothing but what portion of our income we are planning to consume, what percentage of our income we are planning to consume. That is what we call average propensity to consume. See, your income is 10,000. You are planning to consume 5,000. So what will be your APC? Your income is 10,000. You are planning to consume 5,000. What will be your APC?
Negative.
Negative. APC can never be negative, sir.
0.5.
0.5. Or we can
0.5.
say 50%.
1/2.
1/2 or 0.5, or in percentage wise, if you say 50%, very simple, no? 10,000 our income, 5,000 I am planning to consume. That means 50% of my income I am planning to consume. 0.5%, 0.5. 0.5 means 50% when we express it as percentage. So the ratio between consumption and corresponding level of income. Then we can ask questions to them. See, the main features of APC are there. I have given it directly, but these all you try to get from your students. You can ask, can APC be greater than 1? Can APC be greater than 1?
Yes, it can be.
When will it be greater than 1?
When income is 0, at that level, our consumption is no. If income is 0, means
Ma'am, think mathematically, ma'am. You are having consumption divided by income, C by Y. When will the value be greater than 1?
Greater than income.
When consumption is greater than income. Always, you know, when denominator is less than numerator. What is numerator here? Consumption. What is denominator here? Income. So whenever numerator is greater than denominator, the result will be more than 1. So till here, till point E, average propensity to consume will be greater than 1. Because till here, numerator, that is consumption, is greater than denominator, that is income. So APC is greater than 1 till point E. Till we have dissaving, negative saving. And what will be APC at point E? Ask this question to your students.
Equal to 1.
Equal to 1. Why it is equal to 1?
Because C is equal to Y.
Yeah, C and income or consumption and income are equal. When numerator and denominator are equal, the result will be 1. 5 by 5 is 1. 10 by 10 is 1. So at point E, APC is 1. And what will be APC beyond the point E?
Less than 1.
Less than 1. Why it is less than 1?
For consumption is less than income.
Consumption is less than income. Numerator is less than denominator. Mathematically speaking, whenever numerator is less than denominator, the value will be less than 1. Can APC be 0? Can APC be 0 or negative? Think and tell me. Can average propensity to consume be 0 or negative?
No,
No. Why?
because consumption can never be 0.
Yeah, there is always autonomous consumption. See, C by Y, it will become 0 only if C is 0 or less than 0. Then only it will become negative or 0. But APC can never be 0. It can never be negative because consumption can never be 0 and consumption can never be negative. There is always autonomous consumption. So these are all the features, characteristic features of average propensity to consume. And these will come as 1 mark questions in the examination. These will come as 1 mark questions in the examination. Put these questions to the students. Let them think. If they memorize, they will get confused in the exam. They will not be able to write. But if they understand, if they themselves come out, they will be able to write in the examination. So I think APC is clear. APC is the ratio between consumption and corresponding level of income. And the main features of APC are APC can never be 0, APC can never be negative. APC is equal to 1 when consumption and income are equal. That is at break-even point. APC can be less than 1 if consumption is greater than income. APC can be greater than 1. Sorry. Yeah, APC can be greater than 1. APC can be greater than when consumption is greater than income. It can be less than 1 when consumption is less than income. I don't know whether I got confused or not. I think it is clear. Is it clear? So after the discussion, you can give these points to them. The points are written here. With the diagram, you can explain to them. With the diagram, you can put questions to them. Then you can come to the answers. Always try to follow that particular way of teaching. I hope it is clear. Shall we proceed or any doubt regarding APC? Teachers, do you have any other doubt regarding APC?
No, sir.
No,
Okay.
sir, please.
Anything additional or extra you want to contribute? That also you can do. If you have any points to say, please tell so that we all will get benefited out of that. Okay, we'll continue. After average propensity to consume, we come to this marginal propensity to consume. What is the difference between APC and MPC? How will you make the children understand the difference between APC and MPC? Sometimes children get confused. How will you make them understand the difference between MPC is actually change in consumption divided by change in income, delta C by delta Y. How will you make them understand this? Give the example of an individual. If you give the example of an individual, the children will understand it better. Say Mr. Ramu. Mr. Ramu is working in a private company. Mr. Ramu's income is 20,000. Out of this 20,000, Mr. Ramu is consuming or using 10,000 for consumption. Remaining 10,000 he is saving. So what will be his APC? You raise this question to them. What will be his APC? 10,000 divided by 20,000. Consumption by income, you will get 0.5 or 50%. So this is APC. So with this example, you can make them understand APC. Now, next you can ask, Mr. Raju or Ramu got a promotion. He got a promotion. His income increased from 20,000 to 30,000. His income increased from 20,000 to 30,000. And so what is actually his change in income? How much is change in income or delta Y?
10,000.
10,000. Out of this 10,000, he is consuming for 2,000. So what is change in consumption? Delta C? 2,000. Delta C by delta Y is actually 2,000 divided by 10,000. How much you will get?
0.2.
0.2. So with such an example, you can make it clear to them. Then they will understand clearly what is actually APC and what is actually MPC. Very important for them to understand. Usually some children will get it confused actually. One is the ratio between consumption and the income. So I think it is clear. We can give examples. An individual's example you can give and make them understand the difference between average propensity to consume and the marginal propensity to consume. Okay? Is that clear? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Is that clear? Okay. Now we can ask a number of questions to our children connected with the marginal propensity to consume. Shall I ask some questions connected to it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's go on to that. Can MPC be 1? Can marginal propensity to consume be 1? And when will it be 1?
It can't be 1.
Why, ma'am?
It should be less than 1.
Why? Why?
Because with the change in income, we will have a tendency to save.
Suppose a person's income is just 5,000 per month. Okay? It increased to 6,000. Do you expect him to save something there?
Yes, they are not, because as per the ancient psychological law of consumption, with the marginal increase in income also, we are supposed to, our tendency to save in.
No, ma'am. If your basic services and goods, if your basic needs are not met, how will you save? See, already you are very poor. You are eating, a person is eating only one time in a day. His income increased marginally. Instead of eating 2 times in a day, do you think that he will save? Beyond a level, he will save.
Okay, sir.
There is a possibility for the entire increased income to be consumed.
Okay, sir.
In that case, MPC can be
Equal to 1.
equal to 1. Marginal propensity can be equal to 1. When the entire increased income is consumed, that can happen. See, a person's income is very low and a marginal increase in his income, we can't expect him to save. That increased income also he will consume. In that case, the MPC will be equal to 1. Can it be 0? Can MPC be 0? APC can never be 0, we know. Can MPC be 0?
Yes.
Yes. In what situation? When will MPC be 0? When will MPC be 0?
When change in consumption is equal to 0.
Yeah. Or you can put it in another way, when the entire increased income is saved. When the entire increased income is saved, MPC can be 0. can happen. Suppose one person's monthly income is 2 lakhs and again 50,000 increase in income. He may save that full 50,000 because already all his needs are fulfilled. Okay, so MPC can be 0. MPC can be 1. So always, this MPC will be between 0 and 1. Doesn't go beyond the 1 and it doesn't go below 0. It will be in between 0 and 1. Then, will the MPC of a poor country like India and MPC of a rich country like USA be the same? Or will there be any difference?
No, MPC for India will be higher than that of USA.
Yeah, why?
Because here people have not attained a certain standard of living. So they want
excellent, excellent. So normally, poor people and poor countries, MPC will be higher because many of their needs are not fulfilled. So major part of the increased income, they will be consuming. But rich countries and rich people, major part of their increased income, they will be saving. So MPC of poor people and MPC of poor countries will be higher than the MPC of rich people and the rich country. What will happen to MPC as income increases?
it will fall.
It will fall. Okay. So can't you give these questions to the children instead of introducing the features of MPC directly? Try to do that. Go for a discussion. Give these questions to them. Let them come out with the answers. After that, you can conclude. You can give these points to them as a conclusion. They can note it down. It will be thorough for them. Now, the other side is actually propensity to save or saving function. Saving is also a function of income. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. How much we save depends on how much we earn. Those who earn higher levels of income save more. And those who earn lower income will save less. So saving is a function of income that can be introduced with the help of this schedule. Here we see 0 income, consumption is 40, so minus 40, 100, consumption is 120, minus 20, 200, 200 is consumption, saving is 0. So saving is decided by income. Now you introduce the saving curve. Ask a question. What question can be asked here?
Why it is in the negative?
Yeah, why does the saving curve start from the negative side of the y-axis? You put this question to the children. What will be the answer?
Because when income is equal to 0, that time also we will consume. So
Yes. Yes, there will be negative saving at lower levels of income. If income is low, very low, 0 or very low, we know that there will be this saving or negative saving. That is the reason why the saving curve is starting from the negative side of the y-axis. And what is saving at point E? This point?
0.
0. And so at point E, we know that saving is 0. So consumption and income will be
Same.
equal. Then you can ask another question. Why does this curve slope upward from left to right? Why does this curve slope upward from left to right?
When income increases, tendency to save increases.
Yeah, as income increases, the level of saving will also increase. So we find a direct relationship between saving and the income. Now again, the same, average propensity to save and marginal propensity is almost similar to average propensity to consume and the marginal propensity to consume. So what is actually average propensity to save? The ratio between saving and corresponding level of income, S by Y. This also you can explain by giving example of an individual. Say Mr. Raju. Raju's income is say 50,000. Out of 50,000, Raju is saving 25,000. So what will be Raju's average propensity to save? 25,000 divided by 50,000, we get 0.5 or 50%. Give an example, children will understand. So this is average propensity to save, the ratio between saving and corresponding level of income. We can ask questions after that. What questions can be asked about APS? These are all 1 mark questions in board exam. What questions can be asked? First you can ask, can APS be negative? Can it be negative?
Yes.
When will it be negative?
When consumption is
More than income. When consumption is more than income. Can APS be 0?
Yes.
Yes. When will it be 0?
Consumption is equal to income.
Consumption is equal to income. That point is called
Break-even point when saving
break-even point. Can it be 1?
Saving APS can be 1.
Can APS be 1 or greater than 1?
APS cannot be 1, sir.
Why it cannot be 1?
We will always consume something.
Yeah. No one will save his entire income. A part of his income he will be consuming. So no one will be saving his entire income. A part of the income will be consumed. So APS can never be 1 or it can never be greater than 1. So put these questions to the children. After that, come to the answers and introduce the main characteristic features of APS to them. Any doubt in APS? Next is marginal propensity to save. This also you come to that Raju's example. Raju's income is 50,000. It increases to say 75,000. So how much is delta Y? From 50,000, the income increases to 75,000. What will be delta Y?
25,000.
25,000 is delta Y. Out of this 25,000, he is consuming, that is delta C, 12,500 and delta Y is 12,500. So what will be his MPC?
So first we have to calculate delta S here.
Very simple, ma'am. Delta Y, delta C by, sorry, delta S. I'm telling delta S will be 12,500. Okay. So delta S is 12,500. So 12,500 divided by 25,000, we get 0.5. So give 1 or 2 such problems. Let them answer such problems. They will be able to understand the difference between marginal propensity to save and average propensity to save. Can MPS be equal to 1? Can marginal propensity to save be equal to 1?
Yes.
When will it be equal to 1?
When change in income is totally saved.
Yeah, when the entire increased income is saved. Can it be 0?
No.
MPS, can it be 0?
No, sir.
It can be 0, no? When the entire increased income is consumed.
Okay, sir.
When entire increased income is consumed, MPS can be 0. So MPS will be equal to 0 and 1.
Okay, sir.
I hope it is clear.
Yes.
Okay, the relationships and all we will skip. Next class, we will go on to the determination of income and employment. AD is equal to AS approach we will discuss. Then S is equal to I approach. Actually, in this chapter, few important concepts only will be repeatedly asked in the board exam. One is AD is equal to AS approach, determination of income and employment, AD is equal to AS approach. Another one is S is equal to I approach, then the Keynesian multiplier, then excess demand, that is inflationary gap, how to correct it, then deficient demand or deflationary gap and how to correct it. These are the important topics covered in this chapter. Next class, we will go on to these important topics.